Give it up for the tech team, you guys. Yes, IT saves the day. How are you guys doing? Having a good day? Let's see, this is supposed to start at 3:15, but you know what? We're starting early. Because we always run out of time, right? We get to the end like, oh darn it, I have to stop now. So I want to share something with you guys right out of the gate. It's kind of serious. And then we'll spend the rest of the time talking fun stuff, all right? Rather than talk fun and then leave it on a serious note, which is not near as fun as leaving on a high note, right? As many of you know, we had a pretty exciting last-minute announcement for Anime Matsuri for Maxie Whitehead, who played Alphonse in Full Metal. Did you guys see that announcement? Well, I want to share with you guys what happened. It's important to us, all of us, that the truth be told. You want the truth, right? I mean, people want to be told the truth. Let me just preface by saying, I have always loved Maxie. When we did Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Aaron was no longer able to play the role because he had grown up, Maxie stepped in and did an amazing job, and she and I have always been dear friends. She doesn't do a lot of events, and I haven't seen her in probably 10 plus years. Her booking agent told me that she would be really interested in doing an event. So I contacted some of my favorite people, John and Denise, and I said, y'all, this could be really cool. Elric Brothers together again, right? And John, being the awesome dude that he's like, let's make this happen. So they reached out to Maxie's booking agent, who represents her, of course. And there were some challenges with whether or not she was going to be available first for a couple of months. We were talking about this. And there was no question. She told us through her booking agent she had no problem doing any events with me or here or whatever. She was looking forward to it. Suddenly, about a week before the show, before Matsuri, I woke up to a text message from John, and it said, quote, Maxie is coming. I was pretty excited, right? Her booking agent, very excited. Her booking agent was like, she's so forward to seeing you, Vic. It's gonna be great. And I was thinking, how cool for the fans. Because if you're a fan of Full Metal Alchemist, you get virtually zero opportunities to have both the brothers at one place at one time. Might never happen. It hasn't happened in a very long time. So John and Denise pulled out all the stops, and I'm just telling you guys, they went out of their way. They had things printed, they had banners made, they agreed to all of the requests in the contract, and the contract was signed, and it was a done deal. I was excited. I was like, oh, we need to make a special print of just the brothers that doesn't exist anywhere else on earth for the fans. And everything was great. John even made a cool promo image of the two of us. You might have seen it. And it said, brothers reunion or whatever. That promo image was posted to publicly announce that Maxie was going to be here. And within about 3 hours of that post, John got a phone call from Maxie's agent. Maxie wants to cancel because she's getting pushback from some other voice actors who don't think she should be there with you. Can I just give you a minute to process that? Think about it. Seriously. Maxie, who doesn't do a lot of events, could come here and have had a wonderful weekend meeting hundreds of wonderful people who love her work, make some money to pay her bills, make a great weekend for everybody, right? And a handful of voice actors who we probably will never know who they are, right? Called her and put pressure on her to cancel. I have a lot of feelings about this, and I'm holding them in because I think it's so immoral that you would stick your nose in another adult professional's business. Maxie's not a child. She's grown up. She's a professional in an industry. Could you imagine trying to force someone who you have nothing to do with it? You're not coming here. You're not paying her bills. You know what I mean? To stick your pressure in on her. So she said she wanted to cancel, and we were very concerned. I was looking very forward to seeing her. And then Maxie sent me a message, and it said, "Will you please ask Anime Matsuri to take down the promo images with us, because my contract clearly states non-negotiably that I am not to be promoted with you." I sent John that message, and I wrote Maxie back, and I said, "I have nothing to do with your contract. I never saw the contract. I have no authority over any of that. But I'm really saddened to hear that. News to me. But I will let them know your request." A very, very short time after that, before anything else happened, Maxie posted something on the internet. Did you see it? Yeah. It said, and I quote, "The contract that I signed with Anime Matsuri expressly stated a clause that said I was not to be promoted alongside Vic Mignogna in any way. So they breached the contract, and I'm canceling." You want to know the problem? That's a lie. That clause was not in the contract. There was nothing in the contract about not appearing with me. In fact, she approved the promo image. I've been a guest here. She knew I was going to be a guest here. Obviously, if you're part of Full Metal, it kind of it doesn't take a big leap to know that it's going to be a Full Metal thing. But that post was put out. I can only assume to cover the real reason. I feel bad, most of all, for you. Some of you that were at the panel yesterday, we talked a little bit about this. There are people in this industry who somehow think it all belongs to them, and that they can do whatever they want behind everybody's backs and cause all kinds of trouble. And you, the people who really deserve and have made all of this possible, you'll never know. We'll make up stories. Yes, it's just slippery here and change here and lie here and be dishonest here and change our make promises and then change them here, and the fans will never know. If there are no fans, there is no industry. And I told you guys this yesterday, and I believe this with my whole heart, and I know that John and Denise do as well. They work tirelessly to put on this event for you. We've talked about this at length. The fans are what make it happen. It's not the voice actors. And I'm one of them, and I'll be the first to say it. These shows are not about me. They're not about voice actors. They're not about booking agents. They're about you. And that has been largely overlooked by many people in this industry. So now you know. And that was what I felt was important to share with you. The truth. To give you a little insight into, unfortunately, what has gone on in our industry and the way some people in the industry are trying to pressure other people to do their bidding and push their agenda completely regardless of what you want. Is that fair? Is that all fair? It's pretty straightforward. Again, I want to circle back and say I love Maxie. I was very disappointed she wasn't able to make it. I guess I may never understand, what that's all about. And I'm sorry that it went the way that it did. You are the ones that paid the price by not getting the chance to meet her. But I felt like it was the respectful thing to do to share the truth. Because when people put out falsehoods to try to cover themselves, that's not right. Okay? We good? Okay, I know that's big talk. I know that's kind of heavy stuff, but I want to get it out of the way because I felt strongly that you needed to know that is what happened. So if anybody asks, and you'll see people out there on the internet pushing their own stories who know nothing about anything, that straight directly from the source, that's what happened. Okay? Okay, now let's change gears and have fun talks. Who's got a question? Yes, sir.
What's your favorite moment from Star Trek?
Okay, we don't have enough time. That's a whole different panel. My favorite moment from Star. Oh my goodness, I can't think of something. I love them all. Maybe my favorite moment was when I first discovered it, right? When you first find something that inspires you in some way, in a way that nothing ever has before. The first episode that I ever watched was called The Tholian Web, and it was a great episode, and it kind of got me. I'm like, what is this? I want to see more of this. So every day I would go home from school at 5 p.m., channel 11, I can't even believe this, WIIC in Pittsburgh, and would watch that show. So don't ever ask me a question about Star Trek that you're not prepared for an hour-long answer, okay? Question? Oh no, we gotta ask one. Yes, you look awesome. Great.
So I have been searching for some interesting genes lately, and I just had to ask, where did you get your genes from?
Did you hear that, sweetheart?
Yeah.
Okay, if you know me, if you've been around for a while, you know I have been mercilessly teased for years about my pants. And the shoes, well, that's news to me. Okay, so it's the shoes as well. Remember what I said about your cosplay? No, I love you guys. No, honestly, you know what? I like cool things. And I'm sorry, but I bet I'm in good company. We can all laugh about it, but come on now. Ain't nobody should be judging anybody about what's worn at an anime convention. Am I right? I could never, thank you. I think they're cool too. In fact, you know what? I've got some much weirder ones that I may never wear again because I'm too embarrassed from that time. But I love your question. See, I like you and I don't like you. Because you said, where do you get your cool pants? You know what? Where I get them is wherever I find them. I know that's kind of a stupid thing to say, but there's no one place. And you guys know this too. You'll be snooping around on the internet, right? And something pops up, you're like, dang, that's cool. And you want to get it, right? And you order it, and it's from China, so you may get it, you may not get it, if you know what I mean. Or it may look nothing like what you ordered. That's pretty awesome too. That happens pretty often. But there is a cool place, I will tell you, there's a cool website that I have gotten a lot of them from called Worn Star, as if I've worn these pants for too long. Worn Star, they have all kinds of cool. Maka, your dad loves you. She's dressed as somebody, I played her father in Soul Eater. I love some Soul Eater cosplay. You guys look great. Give it up for them, y'all.
Yeah, Soul Eater.
So that's one. But hey, I'm not afraid to buy from Wish. Or any number of those. What? I am taking a chance. But the good news is it's only $4. So if it's garbage, you're just like, oh, that was a frappuccino, that was a cup of coffee, whatever. But every once in a while you find something cool, But thank you for asking. You guys are awesome, and I love you too. These are new rock. They're really well made too, and I feel very tall in them. They're my Edward Elric shoes. All right? They're your tiny alchemist shoes. Who's got a question? Yes, sir. Sure. Yes, it is very true. Yes, he said that he heard that when Full Metal Alchemist was cast, the Japanese company picked the cast. That is true. In fact, you may be surprised to know that that is true for a lot of the big shows. The reason is because the Japanese care very much about how their shows are represented in other countries. Sometimes not so much. Maybe the show didn't do too well. Maybe they're like, hey, if you can make some money off this, fine, we don't really care. But some of them, Naruto, One Piece, some of the big ones, Full Metal, certainly, they're like, oh, this is what happens. The company that gets the license, they'll say to you, okay, Funimation, you have the license for Full Metal Alchemist now. We want you to collect auditions. And we want you to send us 5 auditions from every character. And then we will decide who we like. So the studio will often compile, they'll look through their roster of actors, and they'll say, well, let's audition this guy and this guy and this guy for this character, and this girl and this girl and this girl for this character, and then they'll send it all off to the company that made the show, and they will ultimately make the decision. I was very fortunate when it came to Full Metal because, as most of you probably know, Edward Elric in Japanese was played by Romy Park, who is a lady. And had they decided to do the same thing, I wouldn't have the privilege to be standing here talking with you about Full Metal right now. However, the Japanese had decided they did not want a female voice for the English version. They wanted to try to find a male voice. And so, thank the Lord. I got the chance to audition for it, and it was it was the favorite thing I've ever done. Question? Yes, my dear. Oh, it's not a short film, it's a full-length film. I did a short, now you just messed me up. I did a full-length film. It was an actual movie. I did a film back last fall that was a horror film. Anybody like horror films? Okay, you know what the best kind of horror films are? They're the cheesy ones that are so bad that they're good. You know what I mean? You know the kind I'm talking about? They're so great. So I did one, and that's kind of like it is. And I hope the director doesn't hear that because he's going to think that I'm calling his movie cheesy. But I'm not. I'm just saying it's one of those kind of movies that it's fun to watch. And if I were a director, I would want to know that my movie was fun to watch. It's called Her Monster. It's a very cool story, trust me. It's about a young girl who is kind of an outcast, doesn't have a lot of friends, doesn't get along with a lot of people at school, is kind of a loner, and it turns out that her family, it's an Asian family, and her family has this, how would I put it? There is a monster, a creature that is connected to their bloodline. And since the Edo period in Japan, this monster would fight for this family's bloodline and was conjured through this amulet or some kind of a jewel that somewhere got lost through the centuries. And this young girl is part of this bloodline. And she finds it, and this monster ends up basically fighting people that cross her, coming after people like her abusive father, stepfather, or kids at school that make fun of her. So it's a really cool story. And I play this character. Should I tell them a little bit of my character? I don't know. I play this character who seems like, don't laugh. That's right, I'm looking at you. He seems like a church leader. He seems like he's in charge of some kind of a religious organization, and the mother goes to him for help with her daughter because she's like, what's going on, my daughter? Like, I can't understand this. And he seems to be very benevolent. You know, we can help you. We'll make sure your daughter is safe. We'll do everything we can. Yeah, that's what you think. If you know what I mean. He has his own agenda. So, that's all I'm going to say, which was probably too much. But check it out, Her Monster. It's probably going to be released within the next month or two. Don't ask me where. Somebody, where? I don't know. But keep your eyes open for it. And you guys follow me on social media? Okay, because I will certainly make announcements about it as soon as I know. Okay? Okay, question? Yes?
I might need to go back because I need to spray my toes. But if you want to go, you can. Yeah, pretty soon.
Well, I think you just summed it up right there. It's definitely Full Metal, which I'm most proud of. It's definitely Tamaki Suo, the king, and it's certainly Broly. But you know what? I'm going to take a minute and tell you something that I believe. You know, Dragon Ball's been around a long time, right? Long time. And I played Broly. I mean, I've been playing Broly 25 years. I remember when they asked me to play that. And over these 25 years, I have seen Dragon Ball. Like, oh, it's Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball. Oh, it's Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball. Kind of ebb and flow. Maybe something special would happen, and you know what I mean? And there'd be like a little spike in Dragon Ball popularity. But then it was always there, but it just, you know, wasn't a big deal. It was just always kind of there in the background. And it seems to me that there was one thing that happened that skyrocketed Dragon Ball back into popularity. And it was in 2019. And it was the Super Broly movie. I have never seen anything like it. I'm just telling you what my experience. My experience was that people that were moderately Dragon Ball fans were Dragon Ball fans. You know what I mean? Or that people that had never been were into it. Like, or it had just a whole new revived excitement around it. So Broly obviously would be part of that list. And I played a lot of roles over the years. I've loved all of them. But those are probably the ones that I'm most asked about. Or that are, I guess, most people ask about. Question? Yes, ma'am. Oh, I see how that goes. Have your own hand-raised person. You're 4'9"? That's beautiful. You may be the only person who's shorter than Ed. And I mean that in the best way. You look amazing. What is this cosplay from?
Matsuri from Demon Slayer.
Ah, Demon Slayer. What is your question?
So my biggest question for you is a Vampire Knight question. What was your favorite quote during Zero?
You know what? This weekend I've signed a lot of Zero things, and I've been reminded about a lot of quotes that I did not know before. The one that I always really loved, and whenever anybody would say, "Hey, write a Zero quote on this print or on this wall scroll or whatever," I would always use the old quote, "Yugi, if ever I turn into a level E, I want you to kill me." That's pretty classic Zero. I'll write that one down. But no, I saw some this weekend that were really good. And by the way, that reminds me, y'all, after this panel, in this room, is a Vampire Knight cast Q&A. So I hope you won't go anywhere. I hope you pack a lunch. And I also would be remiss not to tell you this. You've seen the beautiful print downstairs that we had exclusive for Anime Matsuri. No Vampire Knight fan on the planet, ever, anywhere else, will own that print but you if you came to Anime Matsuri. This is the original. This is the hand-painted original, and I want to try to raise some money for charity. I'm not really sure how to do that, because I'm not super savvy on that kind of thing. But I wanted you to know that I want to be able to raise money for charity. So if you're a Vampire Knight fan and you'd like to have the original, I'm going to mention it in the Vampire Knight panel as well, and then I will have it at my table the rest of today and tomorrow, and you can come and we'll figure something out there. By the way, any Marvel fans in here? Who's the biggest Marvel fan? Are you serious? Are you the biggest Marvel fan? Okay, then answer me this. It's unfortunate that I don't know many Marvel questions. Spell Marvel. You looked at the box, that doesn't count. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, this is the way we're doing this. A lot of you said you're Marvel fans. I have a favorite Avenger.
Iron Man.
And nobody calling out. If you're a Marvel fan, by the way, I'm going to give this to whoever wins. This has probably got a couple $100 worth of. You ever seen these mystery boxes? Yeah, I was given some by the company that makes these, and I decided I was going to give them away. So I gave a young lady this morning one. I gave a My Hero Academia one away. So this one is going to go. If you are a big Marvel fan, raise your hand, and I will call on you. And if you guess who my favorite Avenger is, you will get this. Okay? Yes. Sorry, no. Oh, I just realized my process of elimination. You know what? You deserve a good chance. Sorry, no. My bearded friend. Yes, Captain America! See, first she's nice about the clothes, now she gets free stuff. See how that works? Rest of the weekend, people are like, I really like your pants. I really like your shoes. Can I get something for free? Let's do another one. Yu-Gi-Oh! Did you hear that? Every dog in the neighborhood is going to be coming up the steps right now. Well, she could win. but I feel like there should be some kind of a competition where you scream so loud. By the way, I gotta tell you a funny story about my friend downstairs, Skip. Y'all, this is a funny story over here. Stand up, sweetie. Okay, right? She looks great, right? So, cosplay. She came to my table, and I'm sitting there signing and talking to somebody in front of me, and my buddy Skip is helping today. If you met him, he's awesome. And he's talking to her, and he goes, "Hey, so, what are you, a mermaid?" And I'm like, "Bro, she's got wings!" Mermaid! So she couldn't stop laughing because mermaids can fly. Well, I'm not touching that one, okay? All right. So, should I give this to her? I think I should just give this to her, don't you think? Although, I will ask you a question about Yu-Gi-Oh! I was in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a brief time, and very few people know about it because there was this interesting story behind it. Do you know what Yu-Gi-Oh! I was in? Does anybody here know? Anybody? See, well, look, you have no competition. You win! Actually, anybody remember Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal? Well, let me tell you, 4Kids, the company in New York that dubs Pokemon and a couple of different shows, they had been dubbing Yu-Gi-Oh! For a while. And suddenly one day, I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and one day a company called Bang Zoom that I had done actually where we recorded Vampire Night called me and they said, "We want you to come in because we want you to play a role in this in Yu-Gi-Oh! This new season of Yu-Gi-Oh!" And my first thought was, this is awesome. Like Yu-Gi-Oh!, right? I mean, that's like Pokemon, Digimon, you know, all those shows that kind of brought anime into the mainstream in many ways. So I was just excited to be a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! So me and Johnny Bosch and several others got cast in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. And I was cast as Shark. And my beautiful wife right here, say hi, Dominique. My beautiful wife knows that I'm a big Shark fan. So I thought, how cool is this that I just got cast as a character named Shark? We started recording and we were probably at least 8 or 10 episodes into the season. And then somebody from Bang Zoom came into the studio one day and said, "Yeah, so we need..."
Oh yeah, I was trying to do guitar.
We need to tell you something. That was weird. Just right back up. They said, 4Kids has filed a lawsuit because they say they have first rights to Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're going to keep recording and we're going to hope for the best, but we just need you to know that's going on. So we kept recording, and guess what happened? 4Kids won the lawsuit against who, I guess, I don't know who it was, Bang Zoom or whoever. They won the... 4Kids. Watch this one die on me, just to spite me. 4Kids won the lawsuit, and so we had to stop recording. And they started over with people in New York and recorded Zexal. Now, I will tell you, if you're interested, if this story sounds at all intriguing to you, there are episodes that have been leaked, as it were, on the internet of our version, the episodes that we recorded of Zexal. So if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, if you happen to have been gifted with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Box, check it out. Question? Who's got a question? Yes, my full metal friend.
Was this just for the promo? Did you play a warlock in World of Warcraft?
I can't believe you found that video. Oh, I remember that. You know what? A friend of mine told me, you should do a World of Warcraft commercial because they're just standing in a white room and they're talking about being characters. And so here's the funny part, y'all. Okay, now I'm going to tell you my World of Warcraft story. So I did that for fun. I wasn't in the game. I'm not a warlock. And I'm like, at the end, I'm like, I can even do alchemy, right? Because the warlock does alchemy. So it was patterned at, oh, I know why it was. I think William Shatner did one. I'm William Shatner, and I play so-and-so. And so I was like, oh my gosh, if Bill did one, I want to do one. So I did one just for fun. I wasn't in the game. It was just to do it. Well, then I moved to LA, and I started getting auditions for things in LA. By the way, at the time, if you didn't live where the studios were, you're not going to get a chance to be in a show. Like, you know, Oron was recorded at Funimation in Dallas. If you lived in Vancouver, you're probably not going to be in Oron. See what I'm saying? Like, anything that was recorded in LA was almost exclusively cast with LA actors because it's just convenient. It just makes sense. So I started getting auditions for World of Warcraft. And I thought, well, this is kind of cool. I made this dumb commercial for no reason, but just for fun, and now I'm actually auditioning for it. So what kept happening though was the agent that I had in LA kept sending me these auditions for World of Warcraft that, like, I'll never get cast as this character. Like, you hear my voice, right? This is what I sound like. And they would send me auditions for, like, a 15-foot tall orc, something or other. And I'm like, listen to me! I'm not gonna get cast as an orc, right? I'm squirrely little baby orc at best, right? And after a while, I just didn't even send in an audition because I'm like, that's just a waste of my time. They're not gonna cast me, and so I'm not gonna do it. So one day he sends me an audition for some character in World of Warcraft. And I was bored. I think I just had nothing to do. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? I'll just record an audition. Who cares, right? It's not going to amount to anything. It's not going to go anywhere. It was a character named Ner'zhul. And he was this big, mean, dark orc. So I recorded this audition. I pushed my voice as low as I could. Tried my best. That was about all I could do. And I'm thinking, they're still not going to go for that, right? So I used a pitch control device and dropped the pitch of my voice 2 more semitones. So it was like ominous and kind of scary, right? They cast me. Okay, so my first thought was, awesome! I'm gonna be in World of Warcraft. My second thought was, crap! I'm gonna get into the studio and I'm gonna, hi! I'm the one you cast for Ner'zhul! And they're gonna look at each other like, what have we done, right? So I walk into the studio, Blizzard, right? I walk into the studio, and I'm like, hey, Vic, Mignana, thanks so much. I'm really excited to be doing this with you. And they're like, hey, Vic, thanks for being here. I'm thinking, okay, so far so good. And I said, look, full disclosure. I said, I pitched my audition down because I felt like the character needed to be lower than I could go. And you know what they said? Get out. No, they didn't say that. They said, we know. That's what we liked about it. And I was like, wait, back up, what? And they said, it gave the voice some kind of an unhuman, inorganic feel. And it wasn't something you could really put your finger on. You just kind of felt that it wasn't a normal guy. And it's an orc, so why would it be? Right? So that kind of worked out. Question. 1 second. We'll get people that I haven't asked yet. Yes, sir. Ken, right?
I got a question. Star Trek Continued.
I love this guy right here. Star Trek Continues question.
You know, in the original Star Trek, there was a lot of famous
I thank you for the question. Did you guys hear that? All that? For you, those of you that don't know, that you're like, some of you probably back in the back, like, we came in here to talk about anime and voice acting and what Star Trek, what is this all about? I executive produced a live action web series called Star Trek Continues, because when I was a little boy, I loved Star Trek. And so I decided after 4 decades that I wanted to create a series based on the original series, because you may or may not know this, but the original Star Trek, and everybody knows Star Trek, whether you like it or not, everybody knows Star Trek. There have been 15 different TV shows, right, and 20 different movies and video games and all. It's a big deal. It's iconic. It's part of our culture. But the original series that started it all was abruptly canceled in its 3rd season of television. It was too expensive to make, and the network didn't want to make it. And so they just kept cutting the budget until finally they kept putting it in bad time slots, doing anything they could to ruin the show. So my idea was, let's pick up where the original series was canceled and finish the show. And that's what we did. And as of today, we have nearly 22 million views. It's live action. You should check it out. You're probably thinking, yeah, he's trying to get me to buy something. No, it's free. It's all free. It was made as a labor of love, and it's all free at StarTrekContinues.com. If you watch it, you'll enjoy it, and you will see a lot of familiar faces. Voice actor friends of mine, actors from other TV shows. But in answer to your question, fan productions of almost anything have a tendency to be a little rough to watch. Is that fair to say? We've probably all seen, oh, cool, look, a fan production of such and such, and then you watch it like, right? And so when I started this project, I thought to myself, if we're going to do this, I'm going to tell stories that are Star Trek stories, that are human morality questions and ethical questions and social issues and things that Star Trek did so well. A lot of you don't know this because of your age, but Star Trek was revolutionary in the late 60s because on the television, you weren't allowed to talk about race. On television, you weren't allowed to talk about the Vietnam War. On television, you weren't allowed to talk about overpopulation. But the creator of Star Trek figured out a way to tell Star Trek sci-fi stories that addressed those issues. And everybody knew what they were referring to, but they couched them in these imaginative stories. And they got these powerful messages through to the audience. So I had decided from the very beginning, if we're going to do this, this is not just going to be a typical fan film where Captain Kirk beamed down to the planet, he fights a Klingon, he fires a phaser. No, that is not Star Trek. Star Trek is human story and the human condition, our relationship with each other. So I set the bar really high, Ken. And once we started, I wrote the first one, and once we started, we got a lot of submissions from people who'd written Star Trek stories over the years. Fans that I wrote a script for Star Trek, blah, 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 blah. Captain Kirk beams down to the planet, he fights the Klingons. Nope. The man that was the showrunner for Star Trek back in the 60s, he famously said something that when he would get a script or a submission for a script of Star Trek, he would ask himself one simple question within about 3 pages: what's it about? What's it about? If you spend if you're 10 pages into a story and you don't know what it's about, that's not a good story. So that was the way we approached our stories. We didn't say, hey, let's wear something fun and write a story around it. You know what I mean? We're like, let's come up with a theme. What's going on in our world right now? What's a human question, an ethical quandary that we can make up a story for and and share that message. So that was our goal from the very beginning. It was very intentional. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
You did several English openings for the anime you were either a part of or some of them you weren't, and I was curious if you had any that were favorites of yours, because the one you did for Dean Angel is one of my favorites.
Thank you. Yeah, I had been doing music, writing and singing and playing and recording long before I ever started voice acting. And when I started voice acting, and whenever we would come across a show that had music in it, I would think, oh my gosh, this is perfect, right? Because I do music, and now I'm voice acting. We should find a way to put this together. But what I learned was, and this may be news to some of you as well, for the most part, the Japanese companies, at least back then, didn't want you dubbing their theme song. Why? Anybody want to venture a guess? Exactly. They want to sell records. They want you to buy the records of the Japanese band that recorded that song. So for many, many years, there were no English dubs of theme songs for Japanese anime series. And then little by little, it changed, and I'm sure you've seen it better than anybody. I sang 3 theme songs for One Piece. Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Kai. Yeah. And then, of course, recorded some, like Tamaki's got a couple of character songs from Oran that I've recorded. But as far as favorite, I don't know. Brothers from Full Metal is a beautiful piece of music. It's just a beautiful piece of music. I mean, my dog could sing that song, and it would be a heart-wrenching, tear-jerking song. My wife's like, maybe not. Roll, 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 roll. Why did that sound like Scooby-Doo? Next question. Yes. Oh my gosh, what a great question. There are a lot. There are ones that I thought were really good, and they probably were, but they just weren't high-profile shows. You know what I mean? There was a show called Level E. Exactly. He literally went like this. Exactly. It was about a character, it was about an alien that came to Earth. He kind of looked like Tamaki, actually. Had long blonde hair and white bodysuit. And he was fascinated with pop culture. His name, if you know any Japanese, was Prince Baka. Tell my wife what Baka means. Idiot. And he was, but a lovable idiot. And what was so fun about it was, I didn't audition for it. The director, Joel McDonald, called me one day, and he said, hey, I just got assigned this new show, and I want you to play the lead. And I'm like, okay, great. Right? Awesome, I love voice acting. Okay. And I went into the studio the first day, and I said, okay, Joel, tell me about this character. And he tells me the basic story that I just told you. And I said, so what do you want him to sound like? He literally put his feet up on the desk and he goes, do whatever you want. I was like, wait, let me record you saying that. Because nobody's going to believe it. And he seriously, he said, you know what this character is like? He's like Robin Williams. He said he's like, 1 minute he's making a funny voice, and the next minute he's imitating some pop culture character, the next minute he's serious, the next minute he's I mean, he's all over the map. And I'm thinking, this is an actor's dream, right? So, sure enough, we started recording, and we get to some point where there was something going on in the story, and I said to him, Can I do Yoda here? And I was testing him because I'm like, he didn't really mean Sure. Can I do a little Japanese girl voice? He said, sure. I mean, anything I could think of, he would let me do. And it was so fun. Last weekend, I was in Longview at the East Texas Comic Con, and somebody brought up a DVD of Level E, and I'm like, bro, I love you. You just made my day. But that's the first one that came to mind. But there have been plenty. There have been plenty. Because, you know what, let me just kind of get serious here for a minute. I love voice acting. I miss voice acting. It's never been about the money. Because I promise you, back when I started, there wasn't anything to be made, really. I love the craft. I love being able to play a character that you will never get cast as on stage or on screen. If you can do a number of different voices, the sky's the limit for the kind of character you might get to play. I love it, and every character I ever got to play, no matter how big or how small, I put my heart into it, because I love the craft. There are some people, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, I don't even mind if people give me a hard time for this, because why not, right? There are people in every industry who dial it in. They just, you know what I mean? They're there to get a paycheck, and you've seen them. They may work at a store you work at. They may work at a restaurant. They may fix cars. Any number of businesses or jobs. There are people that are like, how little do I have to do to get my paycheck? You talk to them on the phone sometimes, right? Customer service people. So there are people like that in the voice acting world too, who just, kind of dial it in. It's a gig. For me, it was never that. I loved it. I always loved it, no matter how big or small the role was. So, in answer to your question, are there characters that you felt didn't get the attention or the love? Yeah, but I love them all deeply and cherish the privilege to play the characters that I got to play. You know what? I'll bet that girl in the back thinks there's no chance she's ever going to call on me. But you would be mistaken. I want to get both of y'all back here. You're next. Yes, ma'am.
So I dabble in voice acting, I just do it with my friends. Do you have any tips on how to make
Absolutely. And you know what? Is that
There was somebody that asked me about this at my down at my table, and I said, ask me at the Q&A session, because I'm sure there are going to be people that would love to hear the answer to that, so can answer all at the same time, right? So, in answer to your question, if you're interested in voice acting, the first thing you want to do is get acting experience. I've said this many times, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. The operative word in voice acting is acting. I've had millions of people come up to me and go, oh, I can sound just like Family Guy, and I can do a perfect imitation of this and that. That's great. Somebody's already got that job. I mean, it's great at parties, right? And it's fun to be able to imitate people. I like imitating people. But that's not what voice acting is. Voice acting is acting in front of a microphone. You are playing a character, and you're hopefully emoting and creating moments that are funny or sad or suspenseful or scary or whatever with your voice. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is to get as much experience acting as you can. Get involved in school plays, get involved in church productions, get involved in community theater, get online and audition for things for free, because all of it helps you get better at the craft. The second thing is, you know what, the second thing I used to tell people that I'm now going to throw out, because it doesn't really apply as much anymore. You have to be where the work is. I used to say that all the time, because for the longest time it was true. If you lived in, Bowling Green, Kentucky, you might be the greatest voice actor ever, and you're never going to get a chance to voice act, because they just don't do stuff like that there. You have to be where the work is. But not so much anymore, y'all. You live in a very blessed time, because there are a lot of companies that audition online, and if you have a good mic in a quiet room where your dog doesn't bark trucks don't drive by, and you can record good audio, you could even get cast and record your lines. Anybody know Ruby? That show Ruby? Yeah. I played Crow, Uncle Crow, right? Good old Uncle Crow, yeah, he was a good guy. Never recorded it, Rooster Teeth. Never went to Rooster Teeth. I recorded that in my home in LA. They would send me the lines, and I would record the lines. I'd record 3 different versions of a line because you're never really sure, right? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? There's 3 of the same line, different inflection, right? Different intention. Never recorded at the studio. So you have a lot of opportunities online that didn't exist years ago. But the most important thing is this. I really think it is, even more so than talent. And that is tenacity. Don't give up easily. If you're the kind of person who's like, I auditioned 4 times and I didn't get anything. Guess what? The 5th time might have been the winner. That 5th time might have been the opportunity you were waiting for, and you gave up too soon. We all know people, we've heard them sing, and we're like, how the heck did they get a recording contract? Right? They may not be the most talented singer in the world. We see people on TV shows occasionally, or in movies, we're like, man, they're not a good actor. How in the world they... It's not necessarily the most talented people that get the opportunities. It's the people that don't give up. It's the people that just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. So that would be my 3rd suggestion, is if you have a real passion for it, stick with it. Don't get discouraged easily. We're getting close on our time here, where we're going to be transitioning into our Vampire Night panel. So as soon as my co-stars get here, as soon as the rest of the gang gets here, we'll probably roll right into it. But I told her that I was going to let her ask a question. She's like, oh no, he meant it. He's coming back here with a microphone. Now I'm stuck. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if it's controversial or not, but I did notice something. Is there a reason why you use an alias for ghost stories?
Okay, you hear them laughing up there, right? That's because they know the answer to this question. Is there a reason that I used an alias in the show Ghost Stories? Stop laughing. Yes, there is. Okay, Ghost Stories, do you remember we were talking early on when we talked, if somebody asked about, do the Japanese sometimes cast shows, have the ultimate decision in shows? Remember that question? Remember I also said that sometimes they have shows that don't really do very well, and so they're like, hey, just do whatever you want, we don't really care. Ghost Stories was one of those shows. It did not do well in Japan. And so the Japanese company that owned it was like, hey, you know what? If you can make anything out of this, go ahead. So ADV Films, here in Houston, was dubbing that show, and they brought in all these voice actors. We were all working together, all buddies, all friends, going out bowling together, having a good time. Me, Chris Patton, Monica Rial, Greg Ayers, Lucy Christian, we were all in it together, having a great time. Well, they were going in and recording this show called Ghost Stories, and I had not been in it yet, and they would come out of the studio laughing their heads off. And they'd be telling me how they would spend the whole thing. There was no script. They were just making stuff up. And honestly, poking fun at each other and other people in the studio. And I was thinking, this really kind of sounds funny. They're like, oh yeah, we took shots at you too. And I'm like, of course you did. And then one day, he called me in, Stephen Foster, I'll never forget it, to play a character. So I went in, and he told me what he wanted me to do, and I very quickly realized that I got myself into a pickle, because it was rather, you know what I mean, on that borderline of, this is, I don't feel good about this. But I was committed. we got done. I said to Stephen Foster, hey, can I use an alias, like a stage name, screen name? Because I don't really feel good about this show. And he's like, sure, what do you want it to be? And I said the stupidest thing ever. Oh, I don't care, you pick something. I told the director, I don't care, you pick something. When the disc came out, I didn't even know it came out. I didn't want to know. And if I come to a convention just like this, and a fan comes up and wants me to sign her copy of Ghost Stories, and I'm like, how do you even know I'm in this show? Something's not right here. And I'm like, she said, oh, I recognized your voice immediately. And I said, so how was I credited? She said, your name in the credits is Obi Frost Tips. He knew I was a Star Wars fan. And Frost Tips, I guess he thought that. So even now, 600 years later, people will come, hey, good to see you, Obi Frost Tips. So apparently, that's one that'll stick with me forever. Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you know this, but going back to the Full Metal Alchemist thing, but did you know that there was another English dub for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood from a company called Anime Matsuri?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, so they dubbed it in Southeast Asia, so like in the Asian countries that speak English, and anyway, so in that dub, they actually had two girls that played Edward and Alphonse, but I can't really say much for Armstrong because they tried to make him sound like he had a fake German accent. So
I had never heard that. That's very interesting. Anybody else know about that? Wow, okay, so you two right here, maybe the only people. Yeah, I've never even heard about that. Very interesting. There are videos on YouTube, everybody. Is my Vampire Night family here yet? Are you here yet? I'm just keeping an eye on that door. As soon as they're here, I hope you'll stick with us, and we'll morph into a Vampire Night Q&A. Is that right? Oh, 4:30, okay. So you're stuck with me for another few minutes. Is that okay? All right, question.
I hope this isn't too personal. How has your role as Eric Elbrick brought you closer to your faith? Because he's not a big fan.
Definitely not. I've had that question a lot. Oh, you're supposed to be this Christian dude, and you're supposed to be all religious, and how can you play a character that is agnostic at best and atheist at worst? And my answer is today what it has always been. It's called acting. I don't have to be the person to play the person. People who know me know what I believe. People who know me know me, and they know my feelings on those things, and my heart and my beliefs. But you know what? I find Ed fascinating because he's a searcher. He's not really sure about much of anything. He thought he was, kind of cocky, right? Pretty arrogant. But man, when he loses his mom, dad leaves, brother's almost killed, suddenly here are two little boys in a very big, very dark world. And to be honest, that could be any of us, right? Alone in a big dark world, sometimes we feel that way. And when Ed loses his mother, does anyone blame him for shaking his fist at the heavens and questioning? I wouldn't. That's a valid this room may have had that feeling. Somebody's going to play that character. And I don't have to agree with his opinions because it's not me, it's him. I've often used the example, if you put on a passion play at your church, somebody has to play Judas, right? Somebody in the church is going to have to portray Judas or Pilate or somebody in the story for the purpose of the story. Now, it doesn't mean that they're Judas, it just means they're playing the character for the purpose of the story. That's my answer. Yes, sir. I'm glad you guys are sticking with me, by the way. I said this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again because there are more people in here than yesterday. I love y'all. I hope you can tell that. Can you tell that? I am so grateful for all of you and for the kindness that you have extended over the years, for the things that I've done that you've enjoyed, the work that I've done that you've enjoyed. It never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to humble me that anyone still cares. So thank you. And if you take nothing else away from this weekend, make sure you take that with you. Put that in your pocket and hold on to it. That I am so grateful and thankful to God that I ever had a chance to be a part of this industry, that I got to do what I did, and mostly that I got to interact with you guys. Because you made it. You made it, guys. You really make this. You make the industry. Don't forget that. Don't forget it. Promise me? Don't forget it. And when you see or hear people taking advantage of the industry, call it out. Because it's your industry. And my wife knows that I'm purposefully holding back my passion about this.
I say don't.
Don't let people hijack your industry. They're doing it for their own greedy purposes. And I'm hoping that you guys will fight for your industry. There was a time, very different time in this industry when things were very different in a much better way. But you're still here, and as long as you're kicking, there's possibility to make things better. So stand up for that kind of thing when you see and hear about it, okay? Yes, sir. Now those are some great pants. Check this out. Stand up on this chair. Stand up on the chair. That's what I'm talking about, dog. Awesome.
So I'm going to piggyback off of the last question. Two great moments in Full Metal was when Edward was talking to Rose and he was explaining that, all the ingredients of the human body and you can't create life with it. And his life is a miracle that defies the laws of equivalent exchange were two of my favorite moments. And I feel like you had a lot of emotion coming through in both of those scenes. And you said you always let your emotion shine through. Could you say more about that?
Well, I think obviously the best kind of acting is something that hits you viscerally, right? The best actors are ones that are not afraid, that they don't hold themselves in. They let it out, and it comes through, and the audience hopefully feels that. They just know it. They can just sense it. That they're not just reading lines or memorizing lines. They really are invested in this. And as I said a minute ago, Edward Elric is a seeker. He is looking for what's real and what's true. And you just highlighted it. At the beginning of the show, he's like, you might as well put away the scriptures and pick up an alchemy book, right? Because we're the closest things to gods there are. Whoa, right? You're like, let me get away from this kid. Lightning bolt gonna strike him any minute, right? But that's how cocky he was then. But the next thing you know, he's talking about life as a miracle that defies equivalent exchange. And remember when they couldn't save Nina? Suddenly he says, we're not gods. We're just tiny, insignificant humans who couldn't even save a little girl. You see the dichotomy? He's struggling to understand it all. And I think a lot of people are, even here and now, and I think that's why that resonates with them. Vampire Night people here yet? I don't want to, okay, still 420, this is my time, I love this. Spider-Man, gonna ask a question. Yes, sir.
Just give me a second, So, I want to ask you, given how well you understand fandoms and the current culture, how would someone who's starting at square one use something he creates to create his own kind of community and fandom? But not only that, secure it, have it, keep it as a safe haven from people who would come sneak in to divide, taint this IP that you want to create, something that you create and hold sacred. How would
That's a hard question, man. There are a lot of big movie studios out there, right? And everybody wants to get a movie made. And maybe one of the most common tales you will ever hear are people that had a dream of an idea and they wanted to get it made into a film or a TV series, and it ended up being nothing like what they created. Because in order to keep the deal alive, they had to make concessions and concessions and concessions. Oh, we want to change this. We don't like that. We want to make this. And the whole time you're thinking, okay, well, am I going to lose this if I don't agree to these changes? And nobody can answer that question but you. The question is, how strongly do you feel about whatever it is you've created, and how willing are you to stand on it and keep it safe? Let me tell you something, guys. If your goal is to be popular, there are a lot of ways you can be popular. And they're not very good. They will steal your soul. You will probably feel a little sick until you ultimately feel nothing. All because you wanted to be popular. If your goal is to be rich, there are a lot of ways to get rich, but they may not be legal and they may not be ethical. So the question is, how badly do you want that goal? See what I'm saying? What are you willing to do? People want attention. Look at our world. I'm sorry, soapbox. People want attention so bad. People are so desperate to be relevant. They want to believe that they're not just some anonymous person that nobody knows, nobody ever will know. They hang out in their bedroom and they watch videos and no one ever knows or cares. They just disappeared. And they want so desperately to be noticed and so desperately to be heard and to be acknowledged. And you know what the sad part is? They want it so bad, they will do or say anything to get it. If it means trashing someone that they may not even know, they don't care that they just ruined your life. All they care about is, woohoo, 25 people liked my post. That's a dark road to go down, you guys. And I pray and I ask you, please don't go down that road. But if you've created something, like you said, that you feel strongly about and you have a passion for, guard it and protect it. Because if you don't, what it ends up being may not look anything like what you created. And you'll feel pretty crummy for having compromised all along the way just to get this thing. And that was heavy, wasn't it? Sorry, y'all. Yes.
Mine is a little bit lighter.
Okay. Oh, and I'm so glad I called on you. It seems like my question's a little bit lighter. Okay, good.
It actually goes back to acting.
Okay.
Your caliber as an actor, can you actually cry on cue?
look, the time's up. We don't have any more time. No, you know what? That's a great question. When it comes to voice acting, I can sound like I'm crying. Thank you. I'm so, yeah, the front people heard you. My wife's like, he cries all the time. Yeah, and she's right. I'm a very emotional person. I cry at movies. I almost cried a minute ago when I was talking to you guys because I feel passionately about a lot of things. So something that moves me, like Full Metal or certain, come on up, you guys. Vampire Night is getting ready to begin. Give them a round of applause, everybody. There have been plenty of moments in anime series that have moved me to tears. And the director would say, hey, do you want to take a minute? You know, you want to gather your composure? I'm like, are you kidding? Record now, right? Hurry. While it's still real and visceral, you capture it. But yeah, and I'm sure these great voice actors would agree, that's part of acting, is being able to sound like you are heartbroken, or psychotic, or angry, or sad, or whatever, in a great mood, or drunk, or whatever. That's part of it. And you may not actually feel it at the time, but that's what acting